All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Football Focus Weekly, the radio show on WDRB Media. We are brought to you by Mise and Place Collective for all your food consulting needs. Visit Mise on MeseandPlaceCollective.com. Also, or sorry, MEPcollective.com. You get that right. Also, make sure you check out our spring showcase, which is coming up on Saturday, May the 18th at West Mecklenburg High School. To register for our spring showcase, check out charlottefootballinsiders.com. We have a $79 early bird special that is going for a limited time to get in early and register. We've had a lot of interest. We've sent out a lot of invites around that showcase to deserving players, and we'll continue to do so for the next couple of weeks. So if you're a player checking this out, make sure you check your inbox and make sure that if you do get that invite, go ahead and sign up. We really believe if we send you an invite that you're going to be benefited by attending the showcase with, multiple colleges in attendance like we always do here at CFI. That being said, on tonight's show, we're going to be discussing a number of different things. We're going to be talking about the NCHSAA realignment coming up in 2025. So we're a year away from that. But there's been some news coming out about what that could look like. So we'll discuss that for a little bit. We'll also discuss the new NFL rules. Rules were changing on the kickoff and the tackling, this swivel hip tackle thing. I don't know exactly what all that is, but we'll talk about that for a little bit. Then we'll go into choosing the right camps, why you should choose certain camps, what camps make sense for you, and how you determine that. I'll go into then my 2025 offensive line and defensive line rankings for the Charlotte metro area. That'll be a top 5 for both of those positions. And then we'll finish it out with talking about open enrollment in North Carolina, which has always kind of been a topic that I like to discuss because I think a lot of coaches, don't like an uneven playing field. And that's what we've got right now. We've got an uneven playing field across the state. There are some areas that have open enrollment and some that don't. Actually, most of the state doesn't. So we'll talk about that and we'll get some opinions out there. And that's what we got in store on the show tonight. Tonight, we got one guy here with me right now. I'll bring him on. Looks like he's doing some traveling. It's good to see him anyway. That's Adam Big Eye Shelby Wilbur. How you doing, man?
What's going on, pal, man? What's going on, man? I'm actually in the parking lot of Texas Roadhouse getting ready to eat for my nephew's birthday.
Oh, well, why are you on here?
Let's just say, I think we're on a little CP time. I think we on CP time.
Understood. All right. Well, since you're here, let's talk about realignment. One of the big things that's been going on is the NCHSAA sent out a survey, and I'm going to put some numbers on the screen here to kind of explain what this might look like. So what they've done is they've surveyed a lot of schools in the state and asked what kind of setup would they like for realignment in 2025. And this is the scenario that most schools, we are being told, prefer, which is a big 32 and then the subsequent 7 classes behind it. And what the big 32 is, it's the top 32 schools in the state in terms of average daily attendance, pretty much. That's what ADM is standing for. When you look at the 32 schools, I have a list of those schools if someone is curious. But I mean, it's as you would think, it's a lot of Charlotte schools on there, and each of those 32 would have a chance at a state championship in their own bracket. So for a Charlotte perspective, those 32 schools include Ardrey Kell, Myers Park, South Meck, Chambers, Huff, East Mecklenburg, Palisades, Providence, West Forsyth, North Meck, Mallard Creek, Garinger, and Ballantine Ridge. So those schools, in theory, would be competing for a state championship, among others. And then I see Adam had to go, but that's all good. I can work through this. So as far as that goes, when you think about a Big 32 setup, it's he's back. Bring him on. So when you think about a Big 32 setup, including those schools right there, just out of Charlotte, it's interesting. I don't know what a playoff bracket would look like with only 32 schools, but Adam, first of all, Independence is not in that Big 32. So you guys would probably be in like a 7A, for example, to compete for a state championship. But only 32 schools competing for a championship is interesting.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting to see about the state championship game as well, because with lesser teams, there's lesser weeks in the playoffs, and that runs into the college football season. So you're going to be interesting to see where, so that state championship game is probably the second week in December. It probably wouldn't be the second week in December. It'd be more so the last week in November. And, a lot of college teams are still playing at their home stadiums around that time. So that's going to be very interesting to see if they will use something maybe like a Memorial Stadium or different stadiums that's located throughout North Carolina and great areas.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you look at the numbers here, 7A looks to be kind of maybe. I mean, in theory, you might have a tougher role there because you got more schools and you've got more kids. So that might end up being, an interesting bracket. But as far as this whole setup goes, the schools had the option between having a Big 32 with the 8A or a small 32 with 1A. So for small 32, that's kind of the setup was what it would look like right there. And then the schools said they preferred the Big 32, which I'm not surprised because a lot of schools out here kind of feel like, it's hard to compete with schools that have upwards of almost 4,000 kids. Because you look at this list, RGK's number one with almost 3,700 kids on there. So,
it's still a tough battle too, as well, with it being 4A. I think being in North Carolina, everybody just feel like every 4A school has 3,000 kids, and that's not the truth. And that's not the truth. So you do, as coaches, you do get at a school like based off that, like an Independence. Yeah, we may be 4A, however, we may have 1,000 less kids than Audrey Kell has. Based off that.
Yeah.
So it's like the talent pools that a lot of coaches are get to pull from is bigger, even though we were always 4A, it's just bigger at another school than it would be at the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
a drastic difference. And it's a drastic difference. I think with 2A, you may have a difference maybe with maybe 100 kids. Like one school may have 725, the other one may have 800, and you may still be considered Big 2A. But with 4A, you see it's like 3,600 compared to 2,700.
Yeah, because you look at this column right here where it says the difference. It shows the difference between the schools in population and the setup. You look at the 8A, 1,532 kids, to your point. And then you look at some of the smaller ones, like in 5A right here, 254. And then it goes down. And then 1A, you get a little bigger of a difference because there's a school with 26 kids. Good gracious. I don't think it's a football playing school, but still. The point is, as the bigger you go, there is a bigger discrepancy, as you, kind of go down the line. And then looking at small 32, it gets even bigger because the first 7 classifications are not that bad. But then you get into 8A in this scenario, 1,822 students. It's huge. And, coaching at Harding through the years, we were a small 4A school for the majority of the time I was there. And that was something that was always a challenge. And even Tom Knotts, when he had success at Harding in the 80s, he would always talk about, we were always the smallest 4A school. And, we would go up against schools with twice, the roster size and, all that kind of stuff. But You know,
And you see that still to today with how big Independence was at one point, just not too long ago. Then they have built new schools like Rocky River and other schools throughout Charlotte. So a lot of people they're able to take from those schools that were once big, but now they're smaller than what they once were.
yeah, for sure. So that discrepancy is interesting, but I'm not surprised that schools would choose this Big 32 setup. The other question that comes into play is how are conferences going to look? Because we know we have split conferences now, but how far are people going to go with these split conferences? Because, for example, Harding, and I know this because we talked about it. Harding would be in a 6A classification based on this scenario right here. I know for a fact they don't want to be in, a split conference with 8A schools, for sure. So it would be interesting to see how the state would kind of craft split conferences, because I don't see a way to have these without split conferences. It's just too crazy with the differences in population and how schools can get to be spread out and all that.
Yeah, and then it'll go back on the bigger thing that they changed the conferences for in the beginning about the average miles of travel in between schools. So now you're going to be looking at teams going to be traveling 45 minutes, maybe to an hour for a playoff game. I mean, for a conference game.
Yeah, there's some of that now. Those schools out west. I'm thinking about McDowell and Watauga. I mean, they're 4A schools, but they got to drive. They got to drive for some of those games because they're so far out there. I think we might have lost Adam. Okay. Well, oh no, he's back. Okay. Anyway, I do know that CMS has some say so with the state as far as crafting those conferences. They'll send suggestions in, and then the state will try to accommodate those suggestions from the local district. So, it will be really interesting to see how that pans out. But we are a year away from this, so we got one more year the way it's set up now, and then we're going to go to some type of model that looks like this. But a lot more to come. High school OT's done a good job with breaking this stuff down, and if you have a membership on there, I guess you can go and see all their breakdowns and everything. But nothing's official from the state yet. I think they're still trying to work out what might be the best scenario. All right. Before we go to a break here, I did want to talk about these new NFL rules, and I don't want to get your thoughts on number one, the tackling rule, which I don't totally understand. And then number two, the kickoff, which we've seen in the XFL. What was the XFL? Now it's the UFL.
I think the tackling rule, I understand it, but I don't get it because now, like how a lot of NFL players voice their opinion, if a guy just run past you now, you might as well just let him go because you're making it hard for defense. I think everything around the game is designed around offense now because they want to score points, and people not watching football games no more to see defense and shut other people out. They want to see how many points can the offense score. So I think that rule is just going to be catered around offenses scoring more points and being more explosive. But that sucks as a defender. Now you have to figure out how you want to tackle because every tackle is not going to be able to be head up or a clear shot. Sometimes the hip tackle, you just got to attack the hip and bring them down. Like that stuff you've been taught since day one. So now it's going to be very interesting to see about how that's really going to affect the NFL because it's going to be harder to even play the game. I think that the kickoff rule, I think that may increase more jobs for NFL players, I would say, because now normally on kickoff, you have sprinters, you have receivers, linebackers, cornerbacks, things like that, maybe even running backs that's sprinting down. Now, if we start 5 yards apart, as soon as he catches you just got to go get him. Now it's like, okay, well, are you still going to have as many athletic guys on your kickoff team that you normally would? Or are you going to look for stronger, bigger guys and say, okay, 5 yards apart, let's box them in, make the play? I mean, I think it looked pretty cool when they ran it in the, was it the XFL?
Yeah.
I think it looked pretty cool. It was something different. But at the same time, I just it's like one of those where we just got to see it play out because I think that they keep changing everything. Essentially, okay, if it works in the NFL, the next thing is going to trickle down to college. And if
Right.
it works in college, it's going to trickle down to high school. And it's going to be like, well, it ain't going to be no scheme in it no more. So will you really need special team coordinators anymore?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, and that was going to be my first question before you said that is how long would you think it would take for that stuff to kind of, trickle down to high school and then, you have to kind of really. Well, to your point, I think we'll still have special teams coordinators because, it's still going to be a part of the game. I mean, there's still the other special teams are not changing, but.
Yeah, but as far as like you're right. As far as other special teams, it'll still be the same. But as far as kickoff go, a lot of people they actually run plays on kickoff and kickoff return, like different schemes and things. So now it's gonna be like, what's your scheme gonna be? Because you're right, you 5 yards away from 5 or 10 yards away from the man in front of you, versus running down, building a wall, coming back. Now it's like the ball kick off and you wait for him to catch it. Like, what you gonna do if you don't do an onside kick?
Well, you have to declare it. That's one of the other new rules. You have to declare you're going to do an onside kick.
So now they got to know you're doing an onside kick. Yeah. Everybody knows you're doing an onside kick. Yeah. So none of the fake kicking with running up, kicking with the other foot.
Right. All that stuff.
Oh, no, man. Hey, I mean.
I know.
I guess it works.
Producer, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Feeling good. Glad to be here. Listen to talk about these rules, man. Onside kick declaration.
Interesting. Yeah. What do you think about the new NFL rules?
I think the NFL is doing everything they can to have a lot of 50 to 49 games with these new tackling rules and stuff. I think they see points as like excitement, and a lot of people do too. So a lot of rules, with this, what is it? Hip drop tackle. I was struggling to figure out
swivel hip drop.
Yeah, I had to go and look to see what that even was. I had to go research it. They're definitely favoring the offense. I think they want to see maybe more points, and maybe that's it. Kind of like we saw the same thing in the NBA that a lot of rules favor scoring. So, I don't know. I think they're making it really hard on defense right now. So I think that's just the NFL wants to see points, scoring, excitement. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things. It is what it is. It's what we got.
So we got a couple comments. Of course, Nikisha is here.
Hello there.
Good to see you, as always. And then our guy from Robbinsville, old Travis Rogers, reacting to the NFL rules. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I will be excited to see. I would love to see how those transfer in high school because I think there's a lot more creativity in high school, and I think there's some high school coaches that could come up with some cool stuff, especially on that kickoff. I'm already looking at things like you were talking about, Adam, putting stronger guys on there because it's such, you don't have to worry about speed as much. You put a couple of linemen on there, you could do some cross blocking and kick outs and stuff like that.
Because pretty much, if you catch it and break, it ain't nobody back there.
Right.
But I know if it trickles down to high school, man, I know Dale Barnes and Independence will find a way to score some points.
Absolutely.
Which is true.
Stop some folks.
A lot of that a lot of it trickles down. So certainly might.
Good stuff. So that's our first segment here on Football Focus Weekly. But when we come back, we will talk about camps. How do you choose the best ones? What are the best ones for you? And you might promote our little camp a little bit. So we'll be right back here on Football Focus Weekly with CFI on WDRB Media. All right, we're back. Now, I got you, Adam. Now, we are going to talk about choosing the right camps. And one of the things I'll say on this is I see a lot of kids going to big time camps, like North Carolina, NC State, Miami, Florida, all these big Division I schools. But these kids don't have any offers at all, much less Division I schools. So, producer, give me your opinion on kids going to camps that are way above what their actual talent level is.
I think it comes a time where people who trust these kids, people close to them, people who the kids trust, their coaches, their parents, mentors, just sometimes it's just a moment of honesty that needs to be had with a kid. I know, us as, former players and kids grow up, they see the Alabamas, the Michigans, Florida State, they see all this on TV and they aspire to, one day that's going to be me. I want to be out there. And that's perfectly normal. And you should aspire to be those things. But at some point, there comes a time where someone may have to just be honest with these kids and say, hey, you might not be an Alabama guy, but you're a future starter at Winston-Salem State. You can go in there and get a degree, come out debt-free, hop into the workforce. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and anyone should jump at that chance. So I think that going to camps that might be, if you're a D2 kid, going to these, a lot of these ACC and SEC camps, you might learn a few things, but that money could be better spent elsewhere that you're taking to travel and things like this. So I think it's just a moment of honesty that we need to have with the kids and say, hey, and there's nothing wrong with being a D2 kid. That's great. So to even say that is awesome. And anybody should be proud to be considered a D2 kid and have D2 offers. There's nothing wrong with that. Just some honesty, because like you said, you might learn a few things, few techniques, but your time is better spent choosing camps within the realm that you're likely to land at.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we talked about here a couple of weeks ago was it's hard for people to be honest with these kids about what level they're at. And I'll say this now. Doing these, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking about some of the comments, but doing these player rankings, I started doing these a couple weeks ago. There are some kids that believe that they are like Division I hidden talents that no one has.
Day one Power 5 starter, freshman, day one.
Yeah, man, and it's hard to, it's hard to tell kids sometimes, hey, you're not on the level of this kid right here, I mean, if you're sitting there, you're going into your senior year, you don't have offers, we can't, it's not right for me, for example, to say you're on the level of a David Sanders at Providence Day, for example. He can go to any school in the nation. And that's a fact, because he's that good. I think he was rated the number one player in the 2025 class by Rivals. I'm pretty sure I just saw that. And that's right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. How amazing is that? And I think sometimes, kids will see, okay, I see that dude all the time. I know him. I played against him, and I feel like, I held my own or whatever, but recruiting and rankings, there are a lot of factors that go into that. And one of the main ones is where do colleges consider you as? And if you don't have somebody on the board right now, or you don't even have interest, it's hard to justify, going to these, places that, big time recruits are going to. And you got to be realistic. I think with camps, here's the main thing. With camps, you need to split up the levels that you go to. If you want to take a shot and go to a big time D1 like NC State or North Carolina, that's fine. But if you're not on that level, go up there and see who is on that level. Okay. And then work your way down. Like you said, go to a couple D2 camps. Go to a couple D3 camps. You know, if you're smart academically, D3, you're going to get paid, you know.
And a lot of it, what will soften the blow, like if you're talking to kids, a lot of this is things they can't control. It's not even always a skill level. Measurables encountered, you know, what's your 40 time? How tall are you?
Height,
you can't
weight,
control your height.
Yeah,
you can't choose your own height. So that's you know, that's not on the kid. They can get in, they can watch film, they can learn all day, but can't make them grow. So they can't, you know, shouldn't be too upset about that because they can't control that. So a lot of it is measurables, your height, weight, your 40, how quick are you? So that's a lot to do with it too.
Well, here's the thing, and you know, we talk to college coaches all the time at the camps, and you know, I'll tell them about a couple kids and say, "Hey, this kid is a dog right here. You know, he can get it done. He's got strong film. I've seen him up close. He's very smart, great GPA." And then the kid might be, let's say, a 6-foot lineman, for example. And then the coach would be like, "Man, that's great, but if he was 6'3", I'd offer him right now." And I mean, that's just how it works, you know. I mean, if you're gonna be a smaller kid in any position, you have to be exceptional in everything you do. I mean, like you said, if you're gonna be a smaller receiver, for example, you got to have great speed if you want to try to play on a Division I level. Or if you're a lineman, for example, if you're that 6-foot lineman, and this is a great example because Coastal Carolina had a 6-foot center a couple years ago, and he kept getting all these accolades because he was a shorter lineman that you didn't see at a Division I program, and one that was really good in Coastal. But he was exceptionally strong, you know, and exceptionally smart at the center position. So if you're going to be smaller and your goal is to be D1, you have got to be exceptional in something. I mean, and when we say exceptional, I don't mean just average, you know, doing what other guys do. You have to do 2 times what those guys
do. You know
do.
who comes to mind there? Curtis Neal. He was not very tall. He was not. He did not have the prototypical height and weight of a Power 5 D lineman. But he was a dog, as they say.
Yes,
so
he was.
He made up for it elsewhere.
He's still at Wisconsin, as far as I know.
Yeah, I think so. So he made up for it. That's a perfect example. He wasn't 6'3", 6'4". Man, he got after it though.
Right, exactly. Relentless motor. Relentless. Yes, that's a great example right there. So that being said, the last point I want to make about camps is, and you mentioned travel, and I'm glad you said that. You need to go to camps where there are multiple colleges in attendance. That is the biggest bang for your buck that you're going to get, okay? I mean, I see some of these kids putting out whole itineraries for the camps they're going to all summer on Twitter. And I'm just looking at it like, y'all must have some serious budgeting put up for these camps and travel. Hotels and gas and all that. I mean, it is crazy to me. So that's one of the reasons why we are doing what we do here at CFI with our showcases. We bring the college coaches to you, and they're from the Carolinas and beyond. And it's a great economical decision to come to a CFI showcase because you're going to get exposed to what we had over 30 colleges at the winter showcase. And every time we've had a camp, we've had at least 15. And that was the first camp we did during COVID. And we've had more than that at every other showcase after that. It makes the most sense for you. I mean, especially if you want to kind of gauge where you might want to go in the summer, you have a chance to talk to those college coaches that are there after the camp ends. And those guys get your information, you get their information, you follow each other on Twitter, and you build a relationship. That's how you get recruited. You build a relationship with those coaches that come to these camps, okay? If you want to go to a specific school, the best thing you need to do is to go on that school's website, look at the coaching staff, and follow as many of those coaches as you can, especially the position coach that you want to play in college. So obviously, if you're an offensive lineman, you want to go to a school. Let's say you want to go to A&T, for example. You want to go to A&T's website, see who the OL coach is, and follow them, and then send them a message. I mean, it's free. You need to do everything that's free out here that you can do. Send in a DM, send in an email. That stuff is free. So make sure you take advantage of what you can out here. One more comment here. This young man, Deontay Monsterberry. What's up, Pep? It's good to see you, Deontay. Appreciate you watching, man. Anything else on camps there, producer?
Nah, I think we covered find your zone and work in it. That's what it really boils down to. If you're a Power 5 kid, get out to the camps. I mean,
I'll say, let me say this. If you're a Power 5 kid, and I'm not going to, well, yeah, that's one. And then the other thing is, if you're a Power 5 kid, and I'm just saying this, I love the talent we have in Charlotte because we have legitimate Power 5 talent here. But I will not invite a Power 5 kid to our showcase.
Right. They don't
need because it. You don't need it.
The letters and envelopes should be filling up your inbox, your mailbox anyway, if you're a Power 5 kid. So that's one way to look at it. If you're a Power 5 kid, you're gonna know. They're gonna come to you.
Yeah.
You're gonna get letters all the time. You're gonna get, random coaches following you. They're gonna come to you. So there's not a lot of detective work that has to come into play.
Exactly.
You'll know.
And there are some camps out here that invite these Power 5 kids, and I'll tell them. And we have kids that have grown into Power 5 players, such as Turbo from Northwestern. And he's just a special kid. He's a special kid. He was already locked into Boston College and told me last year that he wanted to come to the spring showcase that we had last year at Harding just to come and compete. And I said, oh, come on. I'm not going to turn you down, but one of the things that we pride ourselves on here at CFI is trying to give you a platform to become a Power 5 kid. And I shared this example last week with Jawan Howell, who was the running back at Mooresville a couple years ago. He got offered at our camp by South Carolina State, committed to them, and then used the transfer portal, and now he's at South Carolina as a running back. We want to be that kickoff point for you. And we've had other Power 5 kids come through our camps as they were growing. And we give them that first offer, the second offer, give them that exposure platform. And then they went on to do great things. There's a whole list on our website. And I went back and started looking. And, man, there's probably 60 to 70 legit big-time college players that came through CFI camp. And some of those you wouldn't believe, but it's true. It's true. I was there.
Me too. I was also there.
Yeah. All right, and maybe we'll talk about that next week. Share some of the guys that have come through here. It would shock some of you. It would. All right, but anyway, when we come back here on CFI, I get the name of the show right. Football Focus Weekly with CFI here on WDRB Media. I'm going to go solo, and I'm going to do the latest rankings. That'll be the offensive line and defensive line in the 2025 class here in the Charlotte metro area. So hang tight, stick with us here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. All right, we're back here on WDRB Media with Football Focus Weekly with CFI. And now we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, my top 2025 offensive line and defensive line rankings here in the Charlotte metro area. And I kind of briefly touched on this in the last segment, but going through these rankings, there are three main core things that I'm looking for. One are college offers, how many offers a kid might have. Two, I look at the film, see how they move, how athletic they are, how explosive they are. And then three is going to be in person. evaluations that I've had in person from camps, from games, so forth and so on. So those are the three main criteria for these rankings. Um, these are preseason rankings. Obviously, we're in March right now, and there'll be what do I call it? I should say all these are off-season rankings. There'll be a preseason ranking done right before the season over the summer, probably in July, where we update these based on school visits, which we're getting ready to start doing school visits when spring practice starts. Getting out, talking to coaches one-on-one, getting some inside information on, the kids and who's going to be, upcoming and things like that. Then we'll observe 7-on-7s and practices going into that. So there could be some changes in the preseason rankings. Okay, that being said, let's get started. We'll start with the offensive line because I coached offensive line and I love offensive line. All right, so top 5, and these are Charlotte Metro 2025 rankings once again. Number 5 is Keondae Marsh from Huff. I've known this young man for a while, ever since he was a freshman. He was talented as a freshman as well. He came to our camp back in December, and he won the offensive line MVP award. I think he's one of the best centers in the state of North Carolina, plain and simple. He's very strong at the point of attack. I love his ability to snap and step. If you ever played center or a center, you know that ability is essential when you're snapping and stepping to a shade technique on either side. He moves his feet well in the run game, works on double teams. The defensive lineman climbing to the second level to cut off linebackers. He doesn't get pushed back in pass protection against defensive tackles. He fits his hands well in the inside frame, provides a strong punch to stunt a lineman's charge. And his highlight film was fun to watch. He showed a ton of pancake blocks. And I think it's only a matter of time before he started getting offers. I mean, he is a dominant center at the point of attack. Very impressive. 6'1", 305 pounds. All right. Number 4 in the offensive line rankings, I've got Gabriel Hernandez from Butler. And I've seen this young man at a camp last year at the spring camp. He won MVP for us. And he was very impressive. I mean, 6'4", 295 pounds. He was stonewalling guys in one-on-ones. And that's hard to do when you don't have pads on. That's what made it so impressive. He's got offers from Temple and Virginia Tech right now. And I think his recruitment is going to continue to grow. He was all conference last year, 3.1 GPA. Really talented young man. Gabe Hernandez from Butler. All right, number 3, we got Nolan Irwin from Northwest Cabarrus. I tell you, I was really impressed when I looked at his film. He looked like a senior last year. That's how well refined he was as a prospect. 6'6", 280 pounds. He's got offers from Miami of Ohio, Dartmouth, Cornell, Elon, Marshall, Temple, and Charlotte in just the last 2 months. That's an impressive list right there. When you look at the film, he's a dominant run blocker. He excels at straight ahead blocking in a power scheme. He can work second level in both zone schemes and then as a puller and fitting on linebackers and putting them in the dirt, to be honest with you. Pass blocker, he's athletic. He can stay in front of defensive ends. He primarily plays right tackle. Doesn't give up leverage or a short corner off the edge. So Nolan Irwin from Northwest Cabarrus at number 3. All right, number 2 in the offensive line rankings for 2025 Charlotte Metro area, Ty Buster. I mean, first of all, I love his name. I mean, that's an offensive lineman's name, Ty Buster. I mean, that you gonna oof. And his film reflects that. 6'5", 285 pounds. He's an excellent left tackle. 7'8". His first 7 to 8 highlights in his on his highlight film are pancake blocks in the run game. Excellent footwork. Whether it's a zone-based or power-based scheme, he can excel. Great agility on both inside and outside zone plays. He can lead up on second and third level defenders in the zone. He fits very well in the inside frame on that second and third level, and has some nice, impressive knockdown blocks. So he had a ton of offers, but I won't go through them because he just committed to Auburn. So congratulations to Ty. Really, really big time player going to the SEC right here out of A.O. Brown High School up in Kannapolis. So it's great to be in an area that has so much talent. It's fun to cover, these young men. Congratulations to Ty on that commitment. He's gonna have a really, really great senior year. All right, then number one in the offensive line rankings for 2025 Charlotte Metro, we've got David Sanders from Providence Day. Referenced him in the last segment. I'll tell you, and I just said he's the consensus number one ranked player in the 2025 class per Rivals in the nation. He's got offers from about every school you can imagine. The most recent offers are from UCLA, Memphis, Nebraska, Buffalo, Kentucky, Syracuse, and Indiana, and I'm just probably some that I've missed since then. He's 6'7", 275 pounds. He projects to be a high-level offensive tackle at the next level. He uses his massive frame to gain leverage against defensive linemen in the running game and the passing game. Great length with his arms. Form fits well. Gets his hands on the pass rusher, locks out. Stalemates them at the line of scrimmage and pass blocking. Amazing athleticism in space. He gets out in the screen game, and he absolutely mauls second and third level defenders. If you look at his highlight film and you love offensive line play, it is a joy to watch. I'm telling you. He shows the ability to skip, pull, and lead on counter and power type running plays. Excellent zone step footwork on both inside and outside zone plays. Good technique to cut off blockers. And then he finishes blocks with a nasty streak. That's why he's so highly ranked, man. That's everything you want in a prototypical offensive lineman and a big-time left tackle, for sure. All right, so to recap the offensive line rankings, we got David Sanders from Providence Day at number 1, Ty Buster, A.L. Brown, number 2, Nolan Irwin from Northwest Cabarrus, number 3, Gabriel Hurd Hernandez at Butler, number 4, Keontae Marsh at Huff, number 5. Some other guys to watch from the offensive line perspective, Jimmy Randazzo from Weddington, 6'5", 300-pound right tackle prospect. Braxton Grace from Forest Hills is I believe he's 6'2", 290-pound center prospect. We've got Brandon Stoner from RGKL, who is my notes. Brandon, where is he? He is 6'4", 310 pounds, 2-time all-conference player. He just got an offer from Temple as well. And then we've got Sadiq Cabanis Ali. I hope I said that right. From Independence. He just got an offer from Johnson C. Smith University. He's 6'2", 270 pounds, technically sound as a prospect, and he plays to the echo of the whistle. You got to love that. And then we've got Kayon Mitchell from Rocky River, 6'5", 250 pounds. I think he's a little under the radar prospect from a recruiting perspective. He does have an offer from Emory and Henry, but I think his potential is massive given his athletic frame and athletic ability that he shows on film. And then since he's here, Deontay Berry, I do like your film as well. 6'1", 270 pounds. Powerful internal blocker on the offensive line, pairing with Keontae, that makes that Huff offensive line a tough bunch to go up against for a full 4 quarters for sure. All right, let's jump on over to the defensive line, and we've got number 5 is Ian Coleman from Butler. I've been covering this young man for a couple years now. And let me get to my notes on Ian. So he's 6'1", 225 pounds. He's been a strong member of the Bulldogs defense for the past couple of years, primarily an edge player, 3.0 GPA. Does a really good job of rushing the passer, has various pass rush moves. Currently has offers from Marshall, Presbyterian, Charlotte, and Boston College. That's Ian Coleman at number 5. Number 4, we've got Ladarion Mentor from Huff. I tell you, I really like this kid. when I started looking at his film. 6'3", 250 pounds. He had a strong junior year, had 65 tackles with 10 sacks, 15 tackles for loss. He was all conference. He's got offers from Charlotte and Gardner-Webb currently, but I expect for him to gain recruiting interest as time goes on for sure. That's Ladarion Mentor at number 4. Number 3 is Douglas Quarles from Corvian. Corvian's here in Charlotte. A lot of people may not know who they are because they're a relatively new school. It's a charter school. But Douglas Quarles, 15 sacks last year on defense. Also had 20 catches on offense as a wide receiver. 6'5", 200 pounds. I think his best football's ahead of him. He's really starting to grow into his body as he continues to learn the game. He's got offers from Coastal Carolina and Kentucky. He's got incredible burst off the edge. He's a great athlete. He's one of those long edge guys that are really popular right now with colleges. So he's going to be one to watch for sure and how he progresses through camp season at some of those D1 schools we were talking about earlier. All right. Number 2 in the defensive line 2025 rankings for Charlotte Metro is Jaden Farmer from Butler. And I really like this kid, man. 6'5", 275 pounds. He's committed to Charlotte. I think Charlotte got a really good get with this man because he is talented. He does an excellent job stopping the run, has a great get off at the snap. He uses his hands well to shed blocks. He has because of that good get off, he can make solo tackles in the backfield for losses. Great athleticism to chase down runners running away from him. And a pass rusher, he uses his hands in combination with pass rush moves well and has good short space closing speed. So Jaden Farmer, heck of a player, number 2 in the rankings for defensive linemen. And then finally at number 1, we got Charles House from North Mecklenburg. He's been a top defensive lineman. If you've been around Charlotte football, you know you've heard that name for the past couple years. Highly recruited. Most recent offers from Temple, West Virginia, Indiana, Florida State, LSU, Tennessee, and Georgia. And I think he posted today he's taking a visit to Georgia this weekend. He's got 16 D1 offers in total. He's very strong interior defensive lineman, shows athleticism, an incredible burst off the football. Sometimes he gets in the backfield untouched coming off the snap, which is crazy. He makes sacks and tackles before the play even starts. As soon as the play starts, I should say. He's named his top 6 schools, which I'll share. Georgia, Miami, Florida, Florida State, Tennessee, and LSU. So Charles House, remember that name. I'll be hearing it on Saturdays pretty soon. Watching some SEC football and ACC. Well, Florida State's still an ACC for now. But anyway, so to recap, defensive line rankings 2025 Charlotte Metro. Number 1, Charles House from North Mech. Number 2, Jaden Farmer from Butler. Number 3, Douglas Quarles from Corvian. Number 4, Ladarion Mentor from Huff. And number 5, Ian Coleman from Butler. Quickly, some others to watch because I'm running out of time. Chaz Knox from A.L. Brown is starting to pick up steam from a recruiting standpoint. Picked up a couple offers. Javion Davis from Piedmont, talented young man, 6'2", 260, gets off the ball really well, can play interior D tackle or defensive end. Caden Porter from Concord is a 6'5", 240-pound prospect who I think is going to really break out and have a big year for the Spiders, especially at that size and combination. I think he's got 1 offer right now. I think that's going to change. And then Bryce Lee at East Meck, I've liked him for the past couple of years, 6'3", 240 pounds. Can play some defensive tackle or defensive end. Really talented young man. All right. We got through that. When we come back here on WDRB Media on CFI Football Focus Weekly, we're going to finish up the show talking about open enrollment. Should it be in North Carolina statewide or should it not be allowed at all? Because we've got a hybrid combination and we need to work that out and talk about it. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. I say this every week. We're recording a radio show, but we film it live so everybody can kind of watch it and, comment and react. So that's what we're doing. But anyway, finish up the show. We're going to talk about open enrollment in North Carolina. And I've got someone here that wants to talk about open enrollment. And that his name is Greg Paler. He's a coach here in the state, and we're gonna bring him on right now.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that. That was quick response and quick access. I appreciate that.
Well, we're pretty easy. We ain't like WBTV out here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for all you do, man. Nice to talk to you finally. I seen you around. I seen what you do, man. You do a great job with the kids, man. It's appreciated.
No, I appreciate the kind words, Coach. I like that ball coach. That's what I'm talking
ball
about.
Coach, man. Ball coach. That's all, man. I just love the game.
There you go. So what you want to say about open enrollment, Coach?
No, I mean, we was mentioning it on Twitter, man. And I don't mind hopping on speaking. I think it's a great thing for the kids. I mean, I think probably, and it does not just for athletes. It could be for educational reasons. It could be, and it's not just football, basketball. It could be swimming, hockey, soccer, golf, whatever. I just think that choice, what high school you make, is almost getting as close as that choice that you make of what college you're going to go to. I mean, It sets you up. I mean, not necessarily. I know parents got to recruit on their own. They got to do their own thing, set up recruiting. Yeah, I'm going through the process now, man. That's why we just a ball coach right now, trying to figure it out. But I think it sets kids up for the next step, man. You make a wrong decision, it can hurt. It can hurt a lot. And I think what the open enrollment offers is it gives you that opportunity. And it also keeps coaches' foot to the fire as well. It's kind of like NIL almost. You got to respect both sides of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, it makes sense because we've talked about it before. Because sometimes if let's say you're a talented quarterback and your school runs the wing team, it's
no good for you. I mean, it's in all honesty, and it happens. It happens, and it's also if you're a quarterback with Saturday aspirations, you don't want to go to a team that run the ball 70% of the time.
Right.
That doesn't help you either. And if you're a running back and they throw it 90% of the time, do you want to be in that offense? Right. It's kind of give and take, and it just takes get the kids the opportunity to pick the right decision for them. I know everybody's fearing, okay, everybody's going to run to the same school. You're going to have powerhouses everywhere, one or two places. Everybody can't play. The bottom line is kids want to play. You can't bring in, like you just listed the top 5 D tackles. If all 5 of them go to a school right now, I won't say any names so they'll think I'm picking on them. But if they go to the same school right now, can they all 5 play at the same time?
Oh, absolutely not.
So it'll work itself out. Not all 5 are going to go. True, you'll have kids, especially nowadays. I mean, these all-star games are almost like AAU basketball, where kids get to play with friends from other sides of the county, from all over the place, and it kind of builds a relationship. These guys are texting, they're on Instagram, and that's football now. Yeah. But especially with the middle schools and younger ages, these kids want to play together earlier and earlier. It's getting like basketball, man. Then AAU is almost like 7-on-7 in the summer. You got 7-on-7 in the spring. Yeah. When you're playing spring 7-on-7, these kids want to play together. They want to play high school ball together. I think that's a good thing, man. We in a LeBron James era now, man. It's time for the old rule, and I'm an older guy, but it's time for things to change. And I think it's a good thing for the kids to at least have that option. Because I think some high schools, and like I said, once again, I won't say any names. I won't try to pick anybody out, but you get all the talent in the world, you never win anything. Okay. And it's a lot of high schools like that. I mean, you get all the talent in the world, but at the end of the season, you hang in your head like the 3-10 team. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's no difference in your season and their season at the end of the day, except their expectations were much lower. Your expectations were high. And it happens all over the city. I mean, it happens. So get those kids an opportunity to, okay, this is a good fit for me. This offense works. Okay, yeah, this offense works. This works for me. Then give them a chance. Like I say, I'm going through it now. That's why I'm the old ball coach, man. I was coaching somewhere, and I'm kind of probably gonna find me another home, high school wise, middle school wise. I haven't decided yet. I'm just trying to get my son squared away first. You
got a fan right here, John Tuamala says Coach Greg.
Yeah, I coached his son Matthew, man. Really talented kid. Really talented kid. He went to Christian, won a couple state titles. Yeah, I've been in the game for a long time, Coach. A long time. I've seen him come and go. I've coached kids that I thought were all world, all amazing. They went to the wrong high school, and you never heard that name again. Wow. I've seen it. So it's been something that's on my mind for a long time, not just recently. So South Carolina's going to go to it, I think.
Well, Yeah, well, that leads me to my point here. The question is, so we've got it up in Winston-Salem area, Forsyth County, and we've
Right.
got it a couple other places across the state. So instituting this across the state is going to be having it's going to have to come from NCHSAA, or now it's the education government people. I can't think. But anyway, it's going to have to come from the state level to come
Yeah.
down and get that knocked out. Now, and also to your point, everyone can't go to the same place. So the way it works in Forsyth County is there are certain schools that are open that you can go to. But if a school if they reach a certain population level, you can't go to that school.
Right.
It has to be space for you. So
And
I think
that's fair.
Yeah.
I think in South Carolina, I don't know if it's fully approved yet, but I read that each transfer counts as 3 bodies. So that means if you get 50 transfers, that's 150 kids. That might move up your classification as far as a 2A, 3A, or whatever, which is pretty fair. I mean, I even like that as well. I think that's pretty fair there. But yeah, I mean, but as typical, North Carolina's behind. I think most of the schools, I mean, you got year-round football, spring ball with pads. I mean, South Carolina, they start early and it's next door. So, I mean, it's kind of like, especially Charlotte, where you're right on the border, you get to actually see these things. You can't respond. You can't really do anything with it. It's just kind of tough. I just want what's best for the kids, and everybody doesn't want that. Somebody sitting in the desk saying, well, we don't want open enrollment. We want to control where everybody goes. And then you got the older people that grew up, as they say, walking to school. And I'm an older gentleman myself, as they say, walking to school, say, well, stay where you play, where you stay, and get it that way. That's different, man. Times are changing. Offenses are all over the place. I mean, you want to put your kid, even a defensive kid, if you're a 6'6", from 3 technique, 4 technique DN, you go to a 3-4, you're gonna be playing an outside back or a hybrid. I mean, and can you play that? Are you fast enough? Are you more run stuff or more pass rush? I mean, all those things come into play, schemes and everything. I don't think people look at the big picture. You want to go somewhere where you're fit and you can possibly hit the ground early, because they don't give scholarships for JV tape, I don't think. I mean, unless you know something I don't know, Coach. You've been doing this. I haven't done the recruit thing. I would love to get into it, man. Like I said, I really love what you do. I would love to get into it and really help kids, man. Nobody helped me when I was younger, and that's been my mission. You can ask any kid I coach, man. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or 20 years from now, I'm always coaching. If there's anything I can do to help you, steer you in the right direction, I will.
Yeah, absolutely. You got another fan right here from Alonzo Dent. Says you're his guy.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely, man. I've been in the city a long time coaching kids, man, and giving back. And like I say, just recently I dipped into the high school pool, but I always could have went, but I just was so attached to the kids. I rode it out as long as I could before I got into high school ball. So, but now, I mean, I'm a fix, and it's not a problem here, man. Not a problem. Ball is ball. That's why I put ball coach.
Absolutely. Well, talk about your son. We're about to finish up the show. Well, I'll give you a chance to promote your son here.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. I'm not going to go LeVar Ball on you, man. I try to keep him humble, man. I try to keep him humble, man. He was on the Piedmont team that won the city championship, the first ever city championship. He was a quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say he's probably 6 foot, 6'1". He's about 185, 190 pounds, somewhere around in there. And like I say, for me, and he loves to throw the ball and can throw it. He's been working with Anthony Boone and a slew of QB trainers since he was 7 or 8 years old. So for me, I think the main thing is to find a situation that fits for him.
Okay.
Good and I mean, that's what we on the hunt to do now. So yeah, it's been.
What's his name?
Zayden. He has Zayden Palo on most of his social media. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal, man. Well, Coach,
he'll probably be at your camp on May. I think we're going to do that on May. He's just getting his feet wet, heading to the 9th grade. I think
it's a good chance to get out there and see what it's like.
Man, I just want him to compete and see what it's like to be against the older kids. So, so me going through it now. But for me, I mean, some people don't have the financial commitments to make things happen, but we'll move if need be. That's where I'm at if we need to, because I didn't get that support when I was a kid. I'm going to give him every opportunity to be the best that he can be. And that's all that matters to me. Nothing else really matters at that point.
There you go.
Yeah, I turned down jobs to make sure he's fine. So coaching will be there, but kids ain't.
That's amen, brother. Coach, I appreciate you coming on, man. And
I appreciate you having me, man. I love to come on again anytime, man. I've been watching what you do, man. I'm really a fan, man. I love what you do. And like I said, we'll probably see us tiptoe out there on the 18th, man. See what we can do. I introduced myself personally. I introduced him too as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too, man. All right. That was Greg Paler, legendary coach here in the Charlotte area, joining us here, talking about open enrollment, finishing up the show. Yeah, I thought you were gone.
Nah, I'm hanging around. Shout out to Coach Paler. He dropped some good nuggets there.
That was really good. It was really good. We'll be sure to get him on again, talking about some other stuff. That was good stuff. All right, but for the producer, Adam, Big Eye Shelby Weber, who was here earlier, and Coach Paler, I'm the Pepman Matt Marr. Thank you for listening to Football Focus Weekly here on WDRB Media. Make sure to check us out every Thursday at 3 p.m. for the best high school football show in the Carolinas and beyond. Keep it locked in with CFI.